Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, thank you all for coming tonight. It looks like we have a good crowd. School's almost over, so I'm sure everybody's full of energy, ready for the summer. I know we are.
Well, welcome everyone, and we want to just start the meeting by taking a couple of seconds to recognize our incoming Wing Commander, Colonel Jeff Schreiner. Welcome, sir, and I appreciate you coming in tonight.
Thank you.
We are excited to have your three children in our Navajo Public Schools and our high school, and we would open the mic up for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you'd like us to know.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Missouri. I actually went to high school right up the road in Independence, Missouri. So it's really exciting to be back here. This is my third time in Whiteman Air Force Base. I'm going to have 3 kids in the high school next year. A freshman, a sophomore, and then what I call a super senior. My autistic son, I think, is going to come back in and do some credits to try to finish up his as well. And so we're really excited about the partnership that we have here. Non-Nostr has really made some leaps and bounds over the last several years, and it's exciting to see where the district's at and where it's going. So as the base commander, I'm going to do everything I can to continue this partnership and make it as great as we possibly can. So thank you for the invite.
Yes, sir, thank you, and we're excited to have you guys, and got to meet your family at the chain of command, and that was very enjoyable. So if we can be of assistance, you know how to get a hold of us. And I know you have things to do tonight. You're welcome to stay as long as you would like, or I know if you need the help, go ahead and do that. Before you do, I do want to go ahead and announce our newest news as a district. Our high school, Navajo High School, last week was recognized by U.S. News and World Report as the #1 small school in Missouri and the #1 rural school in Missouri. And out of 600 total high schools in the state, we came in at number 14. So we're excited about that and want to commend. We want to commend our students, our teachers, our administration, and all of the support staff for that tremendous accomplishment. We also would be remiss not to recognize the Department of Defense and Education activities and Whiteman Air Force Base for the ongoing partnerships that have created these new opportunities in advanced placement, in dual credit, in robotics, in aviation, in cybersecurity that were factors that led into that award. So we're excited about that, and then a near perfect graduation rate for our students. So we'll keep moving in the right direction and glad to have you on board.
Okay, next up we have public comments on agenda items. Okay, correspondence to the board. Dear Navajo School Board, thank you so much for the beautiful plant that was sent after the passing of my grandmother. I appreciate your thoughtfulness, kindness, and prayers. Sincerely, Julie Jones. And then we have a thank you card, Navajo School Board of Education, Navajo School District, and Navajo School District employees. Thank you for your kindness and consideration in the loss of our mother. Your thoughtfulness and compassion helped to give us peace during this time of sorrow. The Bone family, Charlie and Nancy, and families. Okay, we're down to recognitions.
So welcome everybody. We have a very important part of our team, our non-Nostr team here tonight to highlight as partners in education. And tonight we'd like to highlight our district food service department and staff. So the food service team works hard daily to prepare meals for our students and staff. They have a big impact on our learning. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to learn with a hungry tummy, but very difficult to do. So this year, these ladies have served 57,909 breakfast meals to children and 131,186 lunches district-wide. And we're not done with school yet, and we still have summer school as well. Our kitchens are also very organized, kept in excellent condition. During December of 2018 kitchen inspections for Johnson County Community Health Services, our staff earned 98% and above scores in all buildings with 2 100% ratings. Knob Elementary Kitchen also earned a Johnson County Food Service Excellence Award following the inspection. So I would like to recognize our staff tonight. Our food service director, and she is here tonight, is Ms. Janie Sater. As I do announce your name, please come forward. We would love to get a picture with you. I know not everybody was able to attend, but and we'll give a big round of applause after all the names. Out at Whiteman Elementary, we have Regina Pryor, Carlita Smiley, Kathleen Steinman. At K&E, we have Danielle Hilton, Cindy Lancaster, and Pamela McKinney. At Knob Middle School, we have Margie Atwater, Ann Peterson, Elizabeth Slottauer, Margie Pizzino. Margie is at our high school. Margie Pizzino is at our high school. Callie Wilson's at our high school, and Robin Norris. We also have 2 subs who we'd like to recognize for the efforts that they have put in for this year. Ashley Van Wieven and Nancy Krause. Let's give them all a huge round of applause.
Jump in here with the circle.
There you go. All right. I can hear you. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, thank you.
So once again, thank you ladies for all you do and the smiles that you serve your meals with. We really appreciate it. So tonight, our second recognition are Phenomenal Panthers. This month, our Phenomenal Panthers are Knob High School student FFA students who attended and competed in the FFA State Convention here in April. They're up here on the front row here of our cafeteria. And the results of the competition state are Sarah Walters for area poultry and proficiency. She was the winner of that. Paige Keith placed in the top 15 for Division II in public speaking, and the farm management team placed 18th in the state. In addition to their competition success, our school district has another reason to celebrate these individuals and our FFA students and leaders while they were at the state convention. And this is just a great feel-good story, and it just shows the dedication that these students have. So in case you missed it, the story is our students had some downtime at the convention and went into the Columbia Mall. A bystander witnessed 2 of our FFA students, Sarah Walters and Dylan Tyler, helping someone, and took a photo and posted the character that they possessed on social media this year. And here are her words. I will quote her. Spending some time in Columbia to watch my favorite state FFA officer give her retiring address, and I found myself at the mall. Several doors were held open, many smiles and kind greetings were shared by young people in blue jackets. That these 2 members from the Knob FFA chapter exemplified the last line of the FFA motto, living to serve. There was an elderly woman who was having a difficult time trying to get settled in a chair in one of the mall seating areas. While they were there were many people who just walked by. These young people, our FFA students, immediately rose to help her, getting her settled safely so she could rest. Thank you to these young people, for all that they have poured into young people through FFA. Tonight, we commend our FFA students for representing Knob and their sponsors, Mrs. McKinley. I don't know if she didn't get to make it back in time, for her strong leadership So congratulations to our May phenomenal Panthers. We are very proud of you. And in honor of Zaylee Bell, I am going to announce these guys like I normally announce people. So here is your send-off. Tonight, let's give it up for Peggy! Give a big round of applause for Sarah Walter! And you hear for Annie John! Yeah, now for Bailey Bell! And one more time, let's hear for Dylan Tyler! I think you guys appreciate it. What a great feel-good story. You represented us very well. Thank you very much. I will now come to you. You got one for So once again, thank you to those students and congratulations on your great work there at the State Commission.
I'll just piggyback and again, congratulations, well done, and especially way to represent us with your character and citizenship. And likewise, thank you to our food service culinary artists for all you do every morning at noon and sometimes evening with our students. We appreciate it and looking forward to keeping that program moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Okay, next we have principal and director's reports. Do you have any questions on that? Okay, moving on to the MSBA report.
America's B-2 stealth bomber fleet, based at Whiteman Air Force Base in west central Missouri, had a problem. The pilots in the cramped cockpit kept bumping into some exposed switches. The switches could then become disengaged, causing serious issues. One case resulted in an emergency landing in Colorado. The situation demanded a quick and permanent solution. Base leaders at Whiteman were familiar with the Stealth Panther robotics team at nearby Nog-Noster High School. So, rather than seek a solution from a defense contractor, they decided to ask the students if they could come up with an answer. They did. In 72 hours, the students 3D printed a cover for the switch box.
Brigadier General John Nichols said, I don't want to spend $10 million and wait 10 years. And so he came to us asking for basically a butter dish. And we made some slight modifications. And 72 hours later, and 8 prototypes later, we have our final product. And it latches right onto our the AMAD panel with dual lock Velcro. And then, so in flight, they can just peel it right off.
Brigadier General John Nichols says the students came through with flying colors.
This team of high school STEM-related super smart students printed 72 hours for initial design concept and final product at the grand total cost of $1.25.
That plastic cover developed by Nog-Noster High School students is now standard equipment on all B-2 bombers in the fleet. The students say they welcomed the opportunity to work on the project.
We're deeply honored to help serve this, have our little part in such an important aircraft in the Air Force.
About 2/3 of Nog-Noster students are connected in some way to the Air Force Base. They shared their story during MSBA's Student Showcase event at the state capitol in Jefferson City earlier this year. The efforts of the students were recognized late last year when the Department of Defense announced the school district was the recipient of a $2 million grant for robotics and STEM-related programs. Meanwhile, the Stealth Panthers at Nog-Noster High School say they remain on immediate standby for their next mission with Whiteman Air Force Base. Missouri high school students fixing a problem on one of the world's most advanced aircraft. Just one more reason to stand up for Missouri's public schools.
All right, no pressure, sir. You're on standby for the next mission. That was a lot of fun, and I think I accidentally clicked on the wrong report there, but I decided to watch it again. We did send through a generous grant from the General Smollett Foundation with Strategic Deterrent Coalition. We did get to send 7 students out to DC along with their coaches to take part in that, and they were made to feel very special. We got to spend some time with Coach Ryder out there, and a really, really neat experience. So coming up next for these guys, they're going to be featured by MSBA at the Summer Leadership Institute over in St. Charles in June. And then we'll probably wrap this one up and move on to the next. But I want to again say congratulations to our Stealth Panther Robotics, and certainly excited about that ongoing partnership. And now on for our board report.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Missouri School Boards Association's board report for the month of May. We thank you for the opportunity to share some news and information during a few minutes of your board meeting. We begin with a look at the growing trend in Missouri school districts to provide school-based health centers. These health centers are often established in partnership with local healthcare providers to meet the needs of students at school and keep them in class. One such school district is Riverview Gardens in the St. Louis area. Assistant Superintendent of Student Support Services, Shakita Riddle, tells us she believes the new clinic will have a positive impact on student achievement.
We're able to provide our scholars in our district with healthcare services, both preventive health, acute, as well as the mental health component that they talked about. Our high school is home to about 1,500 scholars, and those scholars are able to have consents completed by their parents. And once they are turned in, they have immediate access to the healthcare center. They can make their own appointments and they can go. Our goal is not to interrupt that core instructional time, and to ensure that they are focused in class, but they're also receiving those healthcare services that are needed.
Riddle made her comments during the recent MSBA Student Showcase held at the Capitol in Jefferson City during the 2019 Legislative Forum. In 2016, MSBA convened a school-based health center task force to bring together school districts throughout the state and healthcare agencies to explore a statewide model that could be adapted to meet the healthcare and mental health needs of children in local schools and communities. Resources on the implementation of school-based health centers are available through the MSBA website. Building bridges to a safer community was the theme of the recent 2019 Partners in Governance Conference, sponsored by MSBA, the Missouri Municipal League, the Missouri Association of Counties, and other groups. Panelists and speakers at the event stressed the importance of collaboration among law enforcement, school districts, and other entities to keep our schools and communities as safe as possible. The director of the Missouri Department of Public Safety, Sandy Karsten, told those attending the event it's critical local and state law enforcement work closely with school districts.
The Highway Patrol in 2018 conducted over 3,000 school walkthroughs. And you might ask, what's a school walkthrough? But well, that involves a trooper, local officer, a school resource officer, walking through school, making connections and building on the relationships that they have with teachers, with students, with some of the healthcare people in schools, so that in the time of need, that relationship is not something that needs to be built, but it is taken care of ahead of time.
Education Safety Coordinator with MSBA Center for Education Safety, Amy Kiso, was among the panelists discussing the importance of mental health services for students and community members. CES offers behavioral risk assessment training for school district staff designed to identify and help troubled students before an incident occurs. The MSBA Board of Directors at its April meeting and retreat approved some changes to the Regional Executive Committee structure, including the elimination of the Member Resources Committee and the Member Resources Representative position on the REC. A new position of Delegate Coordinator will be established for each of MSBA's 17 regions. That person will be responsible for communicating with and mobilizing MSBA delegates on issues that could have an impact on our public schools. Some of the changes approved by the Board of Directors will require changes to the MSBA bylaws. Those bylaws changes will be considered by the Delegate Assembly that meets on June 8th in conjunction with the 2019 Leadership Summit to be held June 7th through 9th in St. Charles. The Delegate Assembly also will be electing new state officers for the coming year. You can watch video interviews with the candidates for state office posted on the MSBA website. Registration for the Leadership Summit also is available on the MSBA website. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and so long from Columbia.
All right, sir, you're up.
All right. So I covered a little bit of this already, but we'll jump right in with the report and congratulate again our students, our teachers, and administrators on wrapping up the math and EOC tests. We're now down to field days and ice cream and field trips. So we're excited about that and looking forward to wrapping up school. And there's still a little learning going on. I think high school has some involved finals next week, right? And AD. You guys are tough. What do you want to be, number 1? 14? Okay. So again, congratulations. We know they'll push through next week. And just want to send a huge thank you to everyone for moving through the process, especially our tech department. Things went really well with testing. Of course, our testing coordinator, Mr. Foran, did a fantastic job, as well as our special department with making sure that we move through that testing cycle with those students as well. So well done, and we're almost done overall with our testing. Aside from some rather poor weather during those weeks, rain, we tend to track that and see how there may be some issues that can impact performance there. But otherwise, it was real smooth. As of the meeting date, we have 6.5 student days left, 10.5 teacher days remaining. Just a reminder, the last 4 days after the holiday have been enrolled into professional development activities for the teachers. K2 students, teachers will be focused on Eureka Math, while 3-12 affiliated teachers will complete the National Math Science Initiative's laying the foundation training, which is a component of our 2017 MPAS grant. We look forward to attending that training and wrapping up the year with that professional development. On May 9th, we joined in the bittersweet farewell to Brigadier General Ron Nichols and Chief Master Sergeant James Lyda as they promote on in their careers. Again, we also are excited to welcome on board Colonel Deb Schreiner and his family into the community and into our school district. Looking ahead, we will wrap up the year with budget work as we transition into the new fiscal year. In addition, this month will primarily be focused on finalizing our final hires for the year. Attendance for the month ending, Navasser Elementary, 354 with 95.43% attendance. Navasser Middle School, 455, 95.10%. Navasser High School, 372 with 94.82%. Wyman, 369 with 95.08%. District total, 1550, 95.11, with the top score going to Navasser Elementary. So, way to go, Mrs. Mellon and the team on that. And scores look pretty good. Fund balances ending for the month, 16,123,621. Revenues today, 18,497,569, which is 91.5% of anticipated. Expenditures today, 13,711,815, which is 74.8% of budget. And we did get an impact aid payment in following this this report, so we'll talk about that more in the budget process. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, sir. Moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions on consent?
I do have a question on the computer science club. Is it, you submitted that and charge?
That was submitted by Mrs. Morris, and we have not filled that position yet.
It's something we want to hold off on.
I think we move forward with the creation of the position, would be my recommendation.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving down to new business. We've got approval of bills, full board. Any questions?
I make a motion to approve the bills as presented.
Second motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And approval of bills require an abstention. I said the word correctly. Practice that.
I make a motion to approve the bills as presented.
Second motion to abstain. All.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have a recommendation on a motor replacement.
Make a recommendation.
I second.
All those in favor?
I have a question.
Mr. Bazango, you have a couple of questions if you want to come up just in case.
Real quick. What was the mower that broke down or caught fire? Was it a grasshopper? Gravely. My only concern is I see you're looking at John Deere equipment. I got a couple friends that have John Deere equipment and for 0 turns of junk. I mean, but maybe they've gotten better. The grasshopper mowers, I've been through 3 grasshoppers at my house, trading up to better models. The grasshopper I run now is bulletproof. It just keeps on going. I mean, we run a Hustler and we run a Husqvarna also, but my experience with my friends having some John Deere 0 turns, and they're always in the shop.
It's whatever you want, you know.
I mean, I'm leaving the decision up to you all. I mean, I'll go with whatever your recommendation is. But, I mean, I bought my last 14 from Golden Valley over at the mall, whatever it is, and it's a 61-inch 0 turn. I have had 0 issues for 12 years.
Well, I'm in the same, I'm in the for, you know, a grasshopper, on there. Yeah, you're like a Braylon, grasshoppers that were about 20 years old.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the only difference I think was $100.
Yeah.
Grasshopper would come there or a couple hundred.
I personally spent the extra $100 to that. Like I said, one of my friends, his was constantly broke down. He had to go next door and borrow his mother's grasshopper.
I mean, if you desire to go with grasshopper, you just, they're all printed in the beds.
$10 from your staff on what they would like to have. I mean,
Well, the one cent, when I had to discuss, I was going to put grasshopper, he was going to come here and go look at the price.
yeah.
I didn't tell you this the first time, just one question. little grasshopper I'm seeing starting at 48 into the price.
The grasshopper was a 61 inch mower. The G8 grasshopper had a 225, which is 61 inch catapult. I don't know what the others are, I'm assuming they're 60. I'm assuming this is that. Yeah, I mean, all of that, do you know what kind of motors in the job here?
Well, that's the same thing we're they're all about the same size, so like, say like 25, 26 horsepower, and then but like I said, if you want to go with the grasshopper, like you're not going
My recommendation would be buy the grasshopper for $1,800. Given the fact that I own 3 of them, and they're a great point.
I'm indifferent, so I would be pleased to amend my recommendation to purchase the grasshopper for the $8,200.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Can we, that's something on that, we can get this grasshopper operating, other messages, so we can get the grasshopper.
Yes, we do have a good price on that.
That's dirt cheap. My same side.
Well, they like this. That's what they was turned in.
That's dirt cheap.
Sounds good.
If I had a motion, I would send my motion, but my motion was to purchase more.
So do we have a motion to purchase the grasshopper?
Make a motion to purchase the grasshopper.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your new grasshopper. Next, we have laptop replenishment.
I think Mr. Davis was there. He is. As shared, we are a 1-1 district, kindergarten through 12, which is something new from SHI. They're Lenovo devices that are similar to what we're running in most of our areas now. 50% of that will be covered by capacity grant. I do know that we're looking at a budget amendment in the 17 grant. We believe we cover this, if not, we provide that VAT. And I would open up for any questions or comments from Mr. Davis. These do come with a 4-year full workplace, or 3-year? 4, and drop them in. Right, yes, it's not.
You can say to the last 4 years.
I've got the $138 laptops that we bought 2.5 years ago are still running. Those laptops we're going to take the 7th and 8th grade laptops and move them down to the elementary, both the elementaries, to use as parts to keep the other $138 laptops running for 1 more year. So we're going to get 3.5 years out of a $138 laptop. But yes, they will run 4 years. I mean, Lenovo is great with their warranty. The last ones we've got, the students, we average probably 40 drops a year, broken screens, cracked cases, things like that at every school, not just, that's 40 per building. So they go out for warranty, they come back looking like this. I mean, never a complaint. They just turn around. So they've been a great company to work with so far. Same with Dell. Dell's great at it too, but Dell's bid was like way. There were some ideas. Acer was the highest bid. They were up at $200,000 for basically the same computer, same warranty.
So if we're gonna go ahead and pay the, let's say $50 extra per unit for the accidental damage, are we gonna still charge the students?
We don't charge you. Oh, for the drop damage? It depends on if it's an accident or.
$50.
The only, we dropped that a few years ago, the actual requirement to pay, but if a student is caught actually like throwing it across, when it's on purpose, then they get paid for that. But that's determined by the building principal.
We have
It's included in the recommendation.
Everything is, that's the whole deal there. That came with a 1 year warranty. Just 1 year. So you get 3 years of accidental drop or damage for 40, basically 40. And then partly involved. The parts are way more than that.
So it's maybe
Yes, sir. In that ballpark, it's going to depend on a couple of things, but we suspect it's going to be some more than that.
So roughly half of 130,000 will be transferred.
Yes, sir.
Roughly.
Are there any other questions?
I make a motion to approve 2019-20 laptop replenishment as presented.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next, we have the 2019-2020 budget.
All right, so we are, this should look familiar to just about everyone, unless you're new to the board. Mr. Everts, we followed this general process on approving the budget for the last 4 years. Tonight, we're going to go through a brief overview of kind of the historical look at our budget and finances, along with where we think we're projected to wrap up this year, and then estimations for next year. There is also a full budget document that's been prepared for you guys, and should be at your table over the next month. Take a look at that. We do have later in the agenda where we will consider a budget work session, which we've done in the past. But for those returning board members, that should look pretty familiar with the top 2 lines on every slide being changed. I want to say thank you to Mrs. Miller, Mrs. Huntsman, and the rest of the office team for helping us put this together. First time through, and she hasn't been off by more than 0 yet. So we'll keep up to good work. Our mission statement, Valdosta Public Schools, is dedicated to academic excellence for every student every day. In our classrooms and on our courts, fields, and stages, we promote quality character, citizenship, and patriotism as we prepare our students for a successful future of positive impact in the United States of America and beyond. Valdosta Public Schools, our mission is student success. Just a couple of disclaimers. We are working on anticipated numbers to wrap up this year, as well as anticipated numbers for next year. As we know, the budget is fluid as we work through the annual process, and updates will be made through budget amendments. The school budget is a complete educational and financial plan that predicts probable expenditures and anticipates receipts of the school district during the fiscal year. The express vision of the Board of Education is to recruit, attract, train, and retain excellent educators in order to provide a world-class educational program for our students, while ensuring continuous improvement of all programs and facilities. School funding basics, we have 4 funds, and Fund 1, Fund 2, Fund 3 and Fund 4, or 10, 20, 30, and 40. 10 being our general fund, 20 being our special revenue fund, 30 is debt service, which is always 0 historically, because the district carries no debt in that fund, and then Fund 40 is capital projects. We do use a modified cash accounting basis for business operations. Revenue is reported when it is received, and expenditures are reported when checks are written. Our budget message for the year. We are anticipating a change in enrollment, obviously, with reassignment of 5th grade. So we're expecting Katy to come in around 430, Wyman around 410. Almonster Middle School will be dropping below 400, and we're expecting Almonster High School around 375, 400. Total projected enrollment 1585, and that does fluctuate significantly based on the time of the year. Financial forecasts and factors. The foundation formula is said that it will be funded fully for next year. That is not quite approved yet, but it's tracking to be approved. However, I would caution the board that our revenue reports show that there may be some issues with where the projected revenues are coming in. So we have budgeted a relatively conservative on the revenue side with some room for hopefully seeing more revenues than what you ordered tonight. Local tax levy, we're expecting that our tax levy locally will increase slightly from about 316 to 319, with an estimated local assessed valuation of $62 million. We anticipate that's going to generate around 1.8 to 1.9 million in local tax dollars. We also anticipate that our funding for local utilities may drop slightly to 435,000. All of this is based on best guess. We do not have that data in hand yet. As we know, the district is very fortunate to be the recipient of impact aid due to our nearly 70% connected military student population. This budget calls for estimated $5 million in impact aid revenues this year. The critical factor to watch, as we have in the past, is how that pipeline will affect our levy. We know from ongoing conversations that maintaining a local levy that meets the impact aid threshold is a requirement to remain in our heavily impacted status. So we continue to watch that. We are in full compliance this year and hoping that we see by our shoestrings to remain in compliance after that pipeline forced down the pressure on our levy 4 years ago. In conjunction with this funding and the initial proposed budget, the district is projected to maintain a balanced budget and health reserve funds in months 10 and 20 for fiscal year 2020. This budget is proposed to operate as a balanced budget with excess funds accumulated in those 2 months. Employee compensation, we are pleased to hopefully later tonight approve the recommendation, which would be considered the strongest increase in employee compensation in the last decade. We are proposing a $500 base increase for teachers with bachelor's degrees, a $625 base increase for teachers with master's degrees, and a $750 base increase for teachers with specialist degrees. We're also proposing a more aggressive increase on our classified side with a 25% increase on our base salaries. All employees receiving vertical steps as per the approved salary schedules. The district is positioned to compete favorably with other local competitor districts. We do know that we are highly competitive on the bachelor side of the teacher salary schedule. We know we continue to have work to do on the right side of the master column, and the board has graciously continued to move in that area. Also, I want to mention that we're moving to an improved health insurance plan this year, moving from a $3,500 PPO plan to a $2,500 PPO plan. That will be 100% board paid and will be with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas City. We did enrollments over the last 4 days and things seem to be going very well. Altogether, the increase in compensation for over 240 employees of the school district represents an additional $350,000 investment in our people for this fiscal year. This investment demonstrates that Almonster Board of Education and Administration is dedicated to attracting and maintaining high-quality employees to serve our students and our families. For capital projects, Fund 440, the budget includes a moderate capital outlay for a variety of projects. Instructionally, as just approved by the board, we will be continuing with our one-to-one device platform for our students. The budget also includes capital outlay for a number of buildings and grounds, maintenance upgrades, including parking lot repair at Whiteman Elementary. The budget also provides for the purchase of a passenger van to serve our transportation needs and a new grasshopper mower. Debt service, as mentioned prior, we carry no debt in Fund 3. We do carry debt through a lease purchase, and that is anticipated to be a $369,000 payment of principal and interest for this year, leaving us around $3.5 million in debt through that lease purchase. The budget was developed with input from, hopefully will be approved with input from the board. It's also been developed with input from our teachers, our school district administrators, and our classified staff members. The budget includes reasonable discretionary and contingency spending for board consideration. In summary, the budget shows balanced spending in operations and capital projects with projected unrestricted balance of approximately 35% in Fund 1, and Fund 4 will continue to accumulate those excess funds. Our trend data indicates a solid expenditure per pupil when compared to other similar districts in the region. Looking forward, we will work to ensure a high quality return on our investment through continuous increases in student achievement across the academic dashboard. I think we're seeing that, and we'll continue to see that in years ahead. We also want to further diversify and strengthen our programs and the exposure to learning opportunities, whether that be academic or, for instance, the addition of a new shooting club. The budget is proposed with the premise of investing today's tax dollars in today's students, also by maintaining those excess funds to prepare for future capital projects. On behalf of the students and teachers of Valdosta Public Schools, we thank the Board of Education for your consideration of this budget. Revisions and assumptions, we talked about those prior through board budget amendments through the year. So now we'll jump into the numbers. Tax levy and assessed valuation. Again, we're expecting that to come in slightly increase to $3.19. The only thing to add there is that will allow Mount Auster to maintain the lowest school tax levy of about 40 school districts around the Whiteman installation. So we've got the lowest tax dollars and the highest performance. So we're getting a good combination, good return on our local investment. Our assessed valuation history, again, we're projecting it to increase slightly to $62 million. Again, the state assessed railroad and utilities, we expect a small decline in that number. Revenue by source, locally we expect 24.01% of our revenues to come from local sources. Keep in mind about 1.8 to 1.9 million of that is from our taxpayers. The other would be Prop C, which is essentially collected at the state level but reported as local revenue. So that number looks a little different, but I know that our taxpayers are contributing about less than $2 million annually for our $18 million revenue. Again, county revenues, 473 with that slight decrease on our pipeline revenues. State revenues are coming in at about 6.8 million, which is 37% of the budget. Federal revenues anticipated to come in at 6.7 million, which is 36.43% of the budget, and then other local coming in at less than 0.5%. We're projecting a total budget of revenues of $18,589,000. Here's a sheet with history of revenue by source, and again, kind of broken that down by local, county, state, impact aid, and all federal duplicated. So you can kind of see what's going on there. What I would point out on this slide is, and we'll talk about this more in detail, is that big jump in impact aid that we're anticipating that we've actually seen this school year. I don't know what I just did. Okay. So that's revenue by source. Next slide is revenue by fund and where that money is deposited. Again, it's going to be very similar to this year. The big difference being what accumulates in Fund 4 based on impact aid. History of transfers were provided just to show how some of the funding that is attributed to our teacher salaries actually accumulates in Fund 1 and then is transferred in Fund 2. And then this is the fun slide to talk about. Impact data revenue by fund. This is a history, and looking through it, trying to make sense, I would tell you there are a lot of factors that go into what the district sees, but this year we are aware that, as the board should recall, that we received that makeup impact aid payment. It was actually a late payment from last year, but remember that the year prior we had the makeup that carried over into last year. So it's inflated slightly by that payment, but we're also seeing, generally speaking, an increase in our impacted revenues. And that's happening for a variety of reasons. The board has heard ongoing reports about our efforts to advocate for impact aid and the increases that the federal government has sent back in to support that program. But we've also worked very close with impact aid to ensure that we are maximizing all of the factors that go into that formula. And in fact, Mr. Corin and I had a very productive meeting out in DC with impact aid folks last month during that STC trip. So we will see where that holds. I've budgeted, I believe, conservatively. I'm hoping to see above that $5 million mark. Grand total revenue for this year, we expect to come in around $22.5 million. Next year, we're expecting to be somewhere around $18.5 million. And again, I'm hoping that's going to be conservative on the revenue side. Expenditures by fund, operating is going to account for 37.44%, $6.66 million. Our teacher fund is our largest expenditure, coming in at $10.2 million, which is 57.25% of the budget. Debt service again is $0, and then we've allowed for just short of $1 million in capital projects for the year. History with a total budget of just short of $18 million. History of expenditures by fund. Again, similar format on the revenue side, Fund 1, 2, 3, and 4. The numbers look pretty close to the same. You would notice that our expenditures in Fund 4 are projected to be a little bit less than what we spent this year. Keep in mind, we spent about $1 million on rebuilding our bus fleet this year, and it's in good shape with maybe the need for a couple of additions over the next couple of years. Expenditures for instruction and support. This is an important slide because it shows a couple of things. It shows over the last 4, 5, 6 years what we've been spending on direct instruction. And we just saw how our revenues are increasing in our fund balances, but this shows that we're also spending more money on direct instruction than what we were, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Looking back to, let's say 14, 15, we spent just over 14 million. This year we're looking at spending 16.5 million. Again, we're spending more money on direct instruction, but also accumulating funds in our fund balances. So it's a good combination, and we hope to continue that trend. Our lease purchase debt history, we talked on this briefly. Our beginning balances are $3.85 million in debt owed. We will repay $225,000 in principal, bringing that balance down to $3.625 million. We are paying $144,000 in interest this year, which is down slightly. We'll continue to watch what's going on with our interest on our cash on hand. If we see that rate continue to move down, I think that will be the time to consider some prepayment of some of this debt. As of now, I'm recommending that we hold on to that and draw our interest on that money. Reserve balances, as mentioned, we're seeing those accumulate. We pegged Fund 1 at 35%. That's a static target set by the board, but it can be moved up or down. We're seeing the fund balances, the remaining funds accumulating in Fund 4. We do anticipate to hit the $10 million mark in reserve funds and capital projects and be closer to $11 million by the end of next year. This is another good slide to show on what we're doing on our per average daily attendance expenditure for students. Again, you can kind of see that trend data over the last several years creep up to show that we are expending more funds on our students than what we were prior. And as we have seen from our students, they're continuing to put that money to good use with great results. Again, on our unrestricted reserve history in Fund 1, we expect balances of 35%. And keep in mind that that percentage is calculated based on the amount spent in Fund 1 and 2, and then as what's left as a function of what's spent. So it's a little bit of a moving target, but what we do on our final transfer is we have full discretion to set that number where we want to set it. Written into the CSIP is that 35% goal, so there's a good probability that we'll meet that this year. Outcomes, as mentioned, this budget has provided the following. Top academic performance in the Whiteman Air Force Base region 2 of the last 3 years on the annual performance report. We talked about Valdosta High School and their most recent recognition as the #1 rural school, the #1 small school in Missouri, 14th overall out of over 600 students. Military Child Education Coalition, we had a pending National Partnership of Excellence Award for 2019. The district was awarded that same award in 2017. Multiple national level recognition and profiles for academic performance, partnerships, and innovation. Sir, I sent an email, I know that's probably the one you've had this week, but mixed in there somewhere is an email from me regarding the Collaborative for Student Success that wants to come down and do a profile on the Valdosta Whiteman partnership in conjunction with the air show. So I'm working with Jen Green on that. It should be a relatively light lift among a huge lift, so we're trying to be sensitive to that, but I think it'll be a good value add. So we'll hear more on that. Next up, continuously increasing expenditures on direct academic programs and continuously increasing our reserve balances to prepare for future capital projects. We also want to continue to increase our competitiveness in all employee segments when it comes to compensation. And then lastly, expanded academic and extracurricular opportunities and improved outcomes for our students. Major educational initiatives on the horizon, continue to recruit, attract, train, and retain the best educators in the state, implement the Missouri Learning Standards and the processes for infrastructure to support student success, develop state-of-the-art 21st century learning facilities for all students and teachers, complete the master facility plan and enhance environmental factors, enhance STEM and robotics programming, ensure safety and security, health and wellness for all students, staff, and patrons of Valdosta schools, and establish Valdosta as the premier learning destination and comprehensive education program in the Whiteman Air Force Base region. Valdosta Public Schools, our mission is student success, and that concludes my overview. Moving ahead, just over the next month, feel free to provide any feedback, any recommendations that you guys go through the budget. I'd like to come in and try to be ready at that work session to move forward and approve this budget for the year. I will open the floor for any feedback from the board.
Thank you, Dr. Wood, for all the work.
I did. It was Doty. I didn't.
Thank you. Okay, are there any questions? Moving on to old business, we've got 2019 graduation.
Budget work session.
Oh, budget work session. I already decided my date, so I picked that.
Well, great. What day did you
May
decide?
28th it is. No, I'm just joking, but that way it's 2 days works for me.
I'll let you hear.
Moving on to June.
I'm good with any day.
Any other suggestions?
I know I suggested that we could look at other dates. I know the week is pretty hectic already. We have to do it by June 30th because July looks a whole lot better. We can do it on, what do you think?
Any idea how long it will take, and what hours of the day it will be?
We're flexible on that. I think we've typically done an evening session, and probably, seems like an hour. It all depends on, how much feedback we have and the amount of, individual work that we can do over the time moving into that. I can do that.
Tuesday or Thursday or Monday?
We could do, 4th.
June 4th?
We could do the,
What works for you?
June 4th in the evening.
Six o'clock? 5:30?
Sure.
June 4th.
We're trying to tap out
How about 6 or 6:30, June 4th, and if anybody can't make this, so
Sounds good. 6, you guys want to do 6:30? Okay, be out here by 7?
probably here at 7 o'clock.
We'll do it right here. Okay, got it. So just to confirm, Tuesday, June 4th, budget work session, 6:30 here at Albuquerque Elementary Cafeteria. Okay. All right.
I think so it's going to have to rush to get here, you should buy by 7. Oh, okay.
Well, that would work too.
Okay, moving on to old business, we have 2019 graduation procedures.
All right, just wanted to, again, I know this is second read and reminder, but this Sunday, May 19th at 2 p.m., we will have graduation at Navajo High School Stadium, weather permitting, or the gymnasium in case of rain. I would request that all board members be present by 1 o'clock so that Ms. Frank can do group photos. It didn't go very well last year, so we'll be putting 2 new faces into our photo, and I'm going to get Casey. It wasn't you, I think it was the backdrop inside. So we'll figure out if it's inside again. We'll figure out something different. But look forward to doing that. We typically go black with orange. What do you call that? Accent, orange accent. So school colors.
Okay, any questions on graduation? Hopefully, we'll do that.
Hopefully.
Next, we have the FY20 certified salary schedule. This is an action item, second reading.
Second read and request for motion and approval. There are no changes to what has been presented in the past. Again, $500 increase based on the bachelor's, $625 base increase on master's, $750 increase based on specialist, and vertical and horizontal movement for all eligible employees on the certified side.
Where's this going
Where was it? We won't know until we get all of the stuff. I mean, we compare it to this year's data and kind of work off of that. I do expect that we'll continue to gain ground. I did see a report that came in today, and I can tell you, compared to years prior, this is going to be more aggressive for us, but it's also going to be more favorable compared to a lot of the public schools. So we shouldn't lose any ground. We should gain.
No, we're all ready for another school. Yes, my. I think that's. Yeah, they're being aggressive. I know we're supposed to go over.
I think this is the most,
It looks like it's wonderful. Like I said, we're at 565. Oh, man, that's.
I didn't hear what you said.
So we're still ranking this cohort regardless of.
Correct. Yeah. It's the most aggressive, increase that we've had in a decade. I would like to see our numbers next year, but if it appears that if revenues come in where they are, then we should, and this has been communicated out to the staff, that we should continue to see a little bit more favorable recommendations on increase.
And what was the feedback from the survey and the listening session?
I was a little disappointed in the participation in the survey. It wasn't as high as I had hoped, but from the feedback that was given, generally out have the numbers. Just generally speaking, the feedback was satisfied or very satisfied with the recommendations being made on both the insurance side and salary side. Listening session ran about right at an hour. Kind of the same stuff that we've discussed over the last couple of years. The cutoff at 21 steps on the bachelor side, and continues to be kind of up to point. Really, we talked about some different items. I kind of asked for feedback on the idea of some type of additional incentive pay for critical shortage positions like special education, like our advanced science or math. The areas where we're having, everybody is having difficulty forming good talent. And that kind of there was some opposition that I think this came from one of our elementary specialist teachers. There would be some hard feelings if we incentivize some positions but not all. So we're going to have to work through that. I know that's something that's in our CSIP to look at, but we talked about that a little bit. We talked about creative ideas on childcare for employees. Overall, it was pretty good, decent turnout. I think we had about 40 there, and not a lot of new information really. You guys think of anything else?
So, going back to work over, are we going to be paying, that's keep us what we're doing now, the average? Is that still saying we're back?
It should allow us to hit the board defined target of at least average of the cohort on all data points. Yes, I do believe we'll hit it on all data points.
If that number for the two mistakes, that is an average. I will keep it.
Totally agree. So
if they go up on this, it's not.
That is a good point. I did talk with the teachers that if the board were to choose, and as we get more competitive on the masters and specialist sides, once we are equitable across the schedule, then, and I shared this with the teachers, then we go to the board and say, do we want to move above average? We want to go for maybe the 40th percentile,
Which I think we could ask that at the point. We have 3 years ago, we discussed that with that every year.
Right.
Yes. I feel we can ask that at the point.
Absolutely. The other thing we talked about was the outliers. If you compare us to the county and the MRBC, we want to be much closer to the top of the group in all areas. So when you take, which would be great, which is where we are. But when you take into places like Green Valley, Pea Hill, Excelsior, they're competing with Blue Springs, Lee Summit. And we talked about maybe throwing in, for the board's interest, throwing in like a Lee Summit or Blue Springs, which would significantly change that average calculation. And if you were to throw in a major suburban school district.
I make a motion to approve the fiscal year 20 certified salary schedule as presented.
I will say this is good, but we'll just do better. She's already made a motion.
So this is second read, second month, and we gotta get this approved. But we can certainly carry that forward to next year, and I would encourage the board to continue to provide feedback at a board meeting so we can look at that and consider it.
Any other comments or information?
2096 puts us above that average, just looking at these numbers. I know they're gonna change too.
So, let's see here. Give me a second.
Going in another 800 on that.
I would definitely not recommend that. This would be a great discussion for our budget work session. Put that on the agenda. Yes. This is our cohort. So what we have here, we have the 16 districts. We have the average. The target is to be average on all of these data points, which are spread out across the salary schedule. You can see in the green, this is where we were for the year. So we're hitting green on almost every area. The master base was a red area where we're not hitting target. And then even with those aggressive efforts last year on specialists, we weren't hitting target there. So that's one of the reasons why we had recommended larger increases on the base for the masters and specialists to allow us to hit that target in all areas. I would not. I would, no, if we were going to put $800 more on the schedule somewhere, I would put it in our least competitive areas, which is going to be, if you look at what's going on our bachelor side, those are some, we're first on bachelor column 1 max, we're third on bachelor column 1 max steps, and fourth on bachelor max steps, fifth on bachelor max. Then we jump to the right side of the masters, we drop down to ninth. We do have a third on masters max, first on steps, fifth, ninth, seventh, and seventh. So we would definitely want to, if we were going to make an investment, an additional investment, we would want to look at those areas where we're least competitive, in my opinion. Now, if we were even across the board, first, second, third, fourth, then definitely we could look at putting that over here on the base where it impacts everybody across the schedule.
We have a motion on the floor. I agree with this proposal.
I would, as I do every month, welcome any input on agenda items leading into the meeting so that I can be prepared to discuss that.
we have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to the classified pay schedule.
As shared in the memo to the board, there was a slight change. This is second read approval again with a 25% base increase, as well as the vertical steps. Based on feedback from some of our listening efforts, and this was again shared in my memo, I'm recommending a change on this. That would be the first time you guys have seen this. 3 years ago, we added in these additional bumps for longevity at steps 10, 15, and 20. It was requested, and I'm making the recommendation that we go ahead and add that additional 25% bump at step 25. And did send that out as for feedback ahead of the meeting, but I didn't think that was a reasonable request, and was being brought forward for consideration.
Any questions or comments?
Make a motion to approve fiscal year 20 classified pay schedule as presented.
All those in favor?
Aye.
2019, 2020 stipend and extra pay schedule. Action item. Any questions or comments?
We added the shooting club, and I think there was some, maybe some omissions when we looked at, or some inconsistencies between the percentage sheet and the dollar sheet that we just had cleaned up on formatting. But I want to say shooting club, and then did computer science in column I, right down here.
Make a motion to adopt the 2019 stipend.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And last we have administrator salary comparisons. This is section information.
Again, just putting this in front of the board.
At what point will this be an action item?
Probably next month will be good since it's our last month in this fiscal year. Looking for some more feedback on this. I know this is always a sensitive subject when it comes forward. I would propose that administrators are as important as all employees, and we have the same goal, meeting average of the cohort defined by the board of BC districts. Very similar format. The green areas across the bottom are where we're hitting the board target. The red areas are where we're not. And over the next month, we'd invite any feedback the board has on that.
Are there any questions or comments at this time? Okay, if there's no questions or comments on that, then it's time to adjourn into executive session.
A motion to adjourn to executive session pursuant to RSNO 610-21, 3, and 13 by roll call vote. I got you. Aye.
And I.
Guys, thank you very much. Good quick meeting with a lot of information. So, for those that stuck with us, thank you and have a good evening.